The Ripmo AF is looking a little dusty. Wow. It's all from Colorado trip. I haven't really ridden this bike since, but that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about this bike right here. Dude, it freaking fits. Whoever said minivans aren't cool. Hello, welcome to my channel. I got something really exciting, at least it's exciting for me, to talk about. I have this bike here, which is actually a bike company I used to own called F-bom, which I don't really do anymore. Really tough to be a small company in this industry, so I kind of gave up on it. But I have this frame left over, and it's a 26-inch wheeled mountain bike frame named the Wirth, named after the local trails, Theater Wirth mountain bike trails that I volunteered, did a lot of trail work at and stuff. And I kind of designed this bike to be ideal for those trails because they're really tight and twisty. But this has been sitting around for a while, and I just have a lot of spare parts. And I've been looking to get like an inspired trials bike, street trials bike or whatever. And I'm like, why would I do that when I could just convert this? And what's kind of nice about this bike is I actually, because I'm a BMX rider, made this with a much steeper head angle than what we see today. So this is a 72-degree head angle with a 100mm fork. This fork is actually adjustable. If you remember the RockShox U-turn, where you can change the amount of travel, but it goes from 100 to 140 millimeters. So I threw some parts that I had laying around. I had these NX cranks that I removed, and these are the ones with the kind of crappy bottom bracket, but they'll do fine for this bike. And I had these wheels, which are these Stans wheels with X9 SRAM hubs, and this nice Thompson stem, 50mm, or I think it might be 45. These Truveta, I think these are the Husafel, like downhill bars, Hosafel or whatever. I don't care. So, but anyway, and then I had these slant 6 tires, which I think will work pretty good for trials. So basically, I'm going to convert this bike to a trials bike, and I have it mostly done, with the exception of I put a 22, I believe, on here, so it's 32-22, I believe, which, so for trials, that might be a pretty good gear ratio. I'll have to play around. I do have like a 20 and a couple other sprockets I can try out. So what I need to do is, I'm missing the little screw that goes in here to tension the chain, and since this is a quick release hub, I need to get that, or what I'll have to do is get an axle, but I highly doubt I'm going to find a bolt-on axle for an older X9 hub. I just don't know if that is even going to be possible. It's sealed bearing, so you have to get the right axle. You can't just use any fully threaded axle. So I'm going to try to go to the hardware store and find something that will thread in here that can act as a chain tensioner, or if I really have to, I can just go get more traditional chain tensioner that goes on the back of the dropouts and pulls it. So somehow I gotta solve this problem. I'm gonna start by going to the hardware store today, and once I have that solved, I have everything I need, except I haven't hooked up the brakes yet. And I actually have over here on my stand, or my table, a set of really nice brake cables waiting to go on that bike. So that's where I'm at. Let's go to the hardware store and get those parts and see if we can do the chain tensioner. So I went to the old Ace Hardware and found a bolt that's the right thread and then a little nut. And so I used my prototype frame to bring into the hardware store. And the idea is this will thread in there. I'll probably try to come in from this angle. And the idea is I want to thread this in here and get it set to the right setting to for the wheel to fit. And then I'll take the little nut and go on this end and lock it into place with the nut against the frame. So that's kind of my plan. Let's hope it works. Okay, so if you weren't quite sure what I was talking about, let's see if I can stay out of the light here. Is I have the Phillips head screw on this side, which is actually going to rest against the axle and prevent the wheel from coming forward. So the trick is I have to set this at a certain point and then just keep testing it until I get it just right with the right amount of chain tension, and then I can take that nut and lock it down into place and hopefully it'll stay. Okay, this is awesome. I believe I got it. There's just the right amount of slack in the chain. Very little hop because we have a nice quality one-piece sprocket, quality one-piece cog. So here, it took me quite a while to get out of the light to figure out the settings. So I had to keep taking the wheel out, putting it back in and adjusting and all that. So now I'm going to take the little nut, lock it on there, and hopefully this won't move. Crossing my fingers. So I have the wheel centered in there. Pretty good. Quick release. Tight. So should be good. So I'm going to lock that little nut on here. Then I got to connect with some new brake cables. That should be pretty cool. I definitely have to set up these levers for, maybe I already did, for reach and stuff like that. But anyway, once I get the brakes hooked up, I'll give this a little test ride. All right, I have the rear brake hooked up. Working super nice, got it all dialed where it needs to be. Yes, this is Avid BB7. I have always liked these brakes. Super simple to set up. You can adjust the pad on this side and you can adjust on this side, and this actuates on a bearing. So this arm actually moves the outer pad in, so it only adjusts or moves on one side. But if you're good at it, you can align the disc so it's almost touching the inside pad, and then the arm comes in, it barely moves the disc. I've been running these kind of brakes for years and I just like them. They're mechanical, super easy to maintain, replace cables, all that. I don't have to deal with hydraulic fluid. I will say that these are not as good as hydraulic brakes, so I will never make that argument, at least not as good as good hydraulic brakes. I've had some pretty crappy hydraulic brakes, but BB7 is just a good quality all-around choice if you want, you know, decent disc brakes without breaking the bank or having the complication of hydraulic brakes. All right, I still got to hook up the front brake. We are here in the US, so I like my rear brake on the right, my front brake on the left. That's how I've always run them. So you can see on my BMX bike, rear brake, all my other bikes, the 22 over there. So that's how I'll be setting this up. I know trials is a pretty European sport, so most of the bikes, especially if you live in Europe, the brakes will be switched and the rear will be over here and the front will be over here. But I've been riding this way for years, so that's how mine's gonna be set up. Well, I got it done. So it is dialed, brakes are done. It is good. Let's see how much it weighs. So I have it up on the scale. I don't know, I'm pretty stoked at how this turned out. I haven't even ridden it yet. I know neither brake really works quite yet because they haven't been broken in, so I'm gonna have to break those in before I actually like try anything on it. But let's see how much it weighs. Let's get that light out of the background. I think you can see that. Almost 27 pounds, just a short of 27 pounds, 26.90. That's not too bad. I mean, I do have these NX cranks on here, so I bet you this would really be the culprit in the weight, because it's just that kind of old school bottom bracket and stuff, and it's a steel sprocket, so I could probably take almost a pound off by upgrading the crank. And believe it or not, these crappy looking specialized plastic pedals work really well, and just for the sake of doing it, I'm gonna leave the reflectors in them. But I actually tried these pedals with my nice Ride Concepts Vice shoes, and they grip really well. So as goofy as they look, that's what's going on here for now, till I decide to do something different. All right, well, let me break in the brakes. Break in the brakes, I love it. And then I will ride this sweet, surly cog. Well, here we go, it's complete. Pretty sweet. I have this little area to play around in. Work on my hopping in place. I haven't done trials in a long time, and that's why I wanted to build this bike, to kind of get back up to my skills. Not bad. I definitely have some work to do. Practice hopping in place and stuff. Not sure I like the squishy fork, but we'll see. So, whew, I'm tired. I'm pretty stoked about this build. Just finding an old, didn't find it, I'm just using an old frame. The geometry seems pretty good for it. Now I can go in like an urban setting and hop upstairs and do a lot of the stuff I used to do. I think the last time I really rode trials was in the early 90s, maybe mid 90s. Haven't really done it since then, but been watching a lot of YouTube videos. Allie Clarkson, probably the one that I like the most, doing a lot of fun stuff, so I wanted to build up a bike and do it. Now to practice and get better at it. Awesome. Please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.